hours. Okay, thank you. I believe that our first speaker is also ready. Good morning, colleagues, again, and welcome to the Eastern Cape Librarians Day celebration. My name is Thandi Janji. I am the chairperson of the Eastern Cape branch, and I'm with OCDMA as my chair-elect and Louisa, the secretary. And also in the room, we are joined with Mrs. Chalu, who is a member and a librarian at Rhodes University. So, colleagues, this is a very exciting day for us as librarians, as we celebrate ourselves and all the other information workers out there. And today, we're not only celebrating librarians. We know that LIASA is also 25 years, so we're also celebrating that as well under the theme that says reimagine, repurpose, and redefine our libraries. And I believe that our libraries have already redefined and repurposed. So we just going to hear from our speakers the evidence of that. Yes. So I'm just going to give a bit of a background to those maybe who don't know what is this Librarians Day. Colleagues, the Librarians Day was initiated in 2014. It was LIASA's anniversary on 10th July, and then also this day was declared so that it can be dedicated to librarians, as I said before, and also to information workers out there. So this day, we know that it was already celebrated as a national on 10th July. But as branches, we had to have some events, our separate events, to celebrate in our provinces. That's why we are here today. People would ask maybe why. So that's why we had to celebrate as a branch, as Eastern Cape branch. So on this day, usually people celebrate themselves, librarians, and also some will have events in their libraries. And yeah, you just celebrating in all different ways. So we are here today, and we have our speakers who are going to embrace us with their experiences in using libraries, from personal, to academics. And we also have one of our speakers was just retired recently, was Pam. Yeah. So colleagues, sit and relax, and yeah, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Ms. Wombakazi Mandeka. Okay, I met this lady via the book club. She started, I think it's a national book club on WhatsApp. So I'm part of that book club. So I was passionate with the way she likes reading, the way she likes to write, and the way she encourages people to read. In that group, people are reading and then people are reviewing books. So I was really fascinated with how the passion that she has for books. So I thought, let me just invite her so that she can share one or two things today with us. Her name is Wombakazi Mandeka. She's an author. She's from a location at Elliot Day. As I said, she is passionate. This woman is a driven young woman, guys. And she wrote her first book when she was coming from overseas. The title of the book is The Dissonant Rainbow, that it was out in 2019, and then in 2020 there was a second book that says To My Young Self, and then now recently she just published her third book that is called Don't Upset Omalume, a guide to stepping up your Xhosa game. She is an agriculturalist by profession with a double master's degree in agriculture, climate change, transition from the National University of, she obtained this from the National University of Ireland, Galway and Sub-Agro, Montpellier, France. She now lives in the wild coast of Imbulungula, some 28 kilometers from her village. There, she runs a Womba Craft. She's got her business called her Womba Craft, a beading business she started in 2019. She trains young women in bead making and crafts, and this also to conserve Xhosa. And as well, she is also creating job opportunities for youth. So, yeah, I'm going to hand over to you, Ms. Mandeka Ombakazi. If I've left anything, you can just add on that. Thank you so much, Sisi. She did mention that her connection might not be 100%. Colleagues will have to bear with her if maybe there are glitches somewhere, somehow. But do you, Womba?
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me. Simi, at least I wanted to just open my video for a few seconds so that people know who they are talking to. Am I audible enough, and is it okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Sorry?
yes, we can hear you.
Lovely. Greetings, everyone. As said, I'm Ombakazi Mercy Ngandega. So I go by both names. Some people know me as Mercy, some people know me as Ombakazi. Thank you so much for this invite. This is a wonderful day celebrating our librarians and information workers. Sister Tandy briefed me and I was like, yeah, I'm jumping in. I can't miss this. Because I love libraries. So I'll just talk about my experience with degrees and my classes. I'll go to my assignments and research and everything. So it is amazing to see how the library embraced us as young students. For example, I came from a village. I wasn't very accustomed to library, but of course, that environment was created by librarians who cared. You know, we had Otatu Chawe at Forte, I remember, in the library, and it was kind of a family. You know, they know you, they end up knowing your face because you're always in the library, because you're always borrowing books, and you're probably always getting in trouble for maybe losing a book. So it's for me, that was already reimagined, because we are set up as people of Ubuntu, people of community. As much as it's a professional space, but you could still go to the library and find a mama or a tata who is very welcoming, who is very open, speaking closer to you, because I mean, you're coming from a high school in a village, you don't really understand much of English. So they're very helpful in explaining to you in the language you understand. And that made libraries, according, like, that's in my understanding, it made them very accessible and very less intimidating, because that huge building was super intimidating with so many books. You don't know where to start. But at the entrance, when you enter and you meet a librarian who has a smile on their face and who gets to know you, you know, as a student or as an academic who comes in and out. So I think that for me is already being reimagined, you know. And I've been to different countries, and I always go to libraries, and what you find still is very friendly and very helpful librarians, you know. And also the signage in the library, I normally say library is like an airport. It's huge. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where your gate is. You don't know where, for example, books in agriculture are. But because of the signage, you are confident that you'll find your books. It's the same in the airport. If you, for example, get to Qatar airport, it's huge, Doha. But because there's signage and you can walk around and you know where you're going because it's signed appropriately, that for me is very important in a library. And I've seen that in a few, for example, university libraries that I've gone to, even in South Africa. I think another important thing that we can probably push to, that creating libraries that relate to people. What do I mean by that? Relating to people in terms of culture. You know, how are you represented? How do you see yourself in those books? How can you go to a library and find books that speak to you, you know, as an indigenous person, as a local person. So we're looking into finding books that are written by normal people for normal people. You know, there's nothing as exciting than going to a library, especially as a student. If we're talking to students, that they go and they find this young Black woman who has written a book, and they're like, wow, they're from the villages. Like my village is probably somewhere in the Eastern Cape or something. And they take that to themselves. I remember when I first found a book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie from Nigeria. It was special because I was like, wow, finally, it's like she talks to me. She understands me and everything. So it is creating, making those local literature available, the representation and the culture, you know, because we know that we still have limited cultural based books in the libraries, especially in academic spaces. But I do feel like it is very important to expose students into this. Recently, I was interviewed for my recent book that came on Friday. And the person said, yeah, can you mention about 3 South African female writers who have inspired you as a child growing up to become the writer you are today? And I scratched my head and I was like, yeah, as a child, I didn't really have access to that. As a student, I didn't really have access to so many local writers. And at that moment, I realized the importance of exposing young people to local writers, to local academics who have added value in the spaces of the libraries. So I think that is reimagining in my view, you know, and kind of making libraries more accessible and more relevant to the people who use them. That is, in this case of Rhodes University, which is students, and making them include cultural materials. I know they're already there, but the accessibility, because when you look for a cultural old book that was written in the 1960s, it's not the same. So it's encouraging also the students to look into these books and write more, because I think the reason I wrote this book, I have this new book, it's about the Xhosa culture. You won't probably see it, but it's about just the Xhosa livelihoods. But it came from a gap, because I realized that in the literature, we don't have much accessible Xhosa book that you can just buy and anyone is able to read. So yeah, I thank you for this opportunity, and congratulations for pulling this through. And we are celebrating you librarians and information workers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wamba. Thank you so much, Sisi. Your experience that you shared with us. It's so inspiring, and it's so encouraging as well. It means a lot to us as librarians, and those Abodata that were helping you then. I think they are proud to see you where you are today, and you are also referencing them and the background that you got from libraries, like the experience that you got from them. Thank you so much for honoring this invite. It really means a lot to us. I'm just
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to show my face a bit, colleagues, and then switch off the video so that it's not even that. We'll need to have some IT guy to try and fix our camera, but it's fine. Thank you, Wamba. So our next speaker is going to be Usiswetu. Usiswetu is our director. Her name is Noma Wetu Danster, and she is the director of Rhodes Libraries. Okay, 1 minute, colleagues, can you just give me one. Okay, thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you for understanding. As I just said, I'm going to introduce Usis Nomawethu Danster, who is our director here at Rhodes University. Usis Wethu is also a former director from Water Sisulu University. And she was also an executive director of the University of Limpopo. She was born and bred in the former Transkei, and she took studies of Bachelor of Libraries and Information Science at Fort University, where she obtained both her Bachelor of Information Science and honors degree in Library and Information Studies. After that, through the Australian Mandela Scholarship, she obtained a Master's of Applied Science degree in Information Management at Curtin University of Technology, Western Australia. She is going to embrace us today under the topic, the future of librarianship in South Africa towards building an informed and ready nation. Siswethu, over to you.
Thank you very much, Thandi, and a very good morning to you all, colleagues. Can everybody hear my voice?
Yes,
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to put up my presentation here. I don't know if it is visible to all of you.
Yes, it is visible. You just need to put it in presenter mode.
Is it?
Yes, so you can.
Is it looking better now?
At the top there where it says slideshow, just click on slideshow next to animations. Yes, further up on the left hand side, move to the left. Yes, there. Click on the slideshow. No, slideshow. It's right there next to animations.
Just next to that, Siswethu. Just
yes, over there. And then can click from beginning.
Like that.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues, and apologies. Apologies for the glitches this morning. I'm very happy, first of all, to be in this space where I am talking or addressing librarians, the people who've got so much passion about what they are doing. I feel very honored to be part of this celebration that marks the 25th, that marks the 25th anniversary of LIASA and the Librarians Day. My presentation is going to look like this. I'm gonna very briefly talk to the executive summary, the introduction. I will look at the core values of librarianship, and I will look at LIASA's core values. I will look at the legislative frameworks, and I will look at challenges and threats that are facing the sector and opportunities. And I will conclude by making recommendations, way forward, and some conclusions. Sorry. In my summary, I wish to begin by saying librarianship is such a noble profession. It is built on noble principles of developing informed and educated and empowered nations that use information and knowledge to resolve complex social, economic, educational, political, health, you can name it, challenges. And libraries and librarians play a crucial role in developing learning organizations and a reading culture. Libraries, however, face many realities and challenges in addressing their mandate. due to several impediments that include but not limited to poor infrastructures, lack of funding, lack of policies, lack of government support sometimes. Having said all that, there's this universal consensus and understanding that all libraries of all types, be it public, school, or university, have this overarching goal that underpins their missions. That is the right of access to information. Colleagues, you will allow me to take off my camera so that I don't experience the glitches that I experienced earlier on. I'm hoping that somebody will come and assist, because now in this mode, I can't tell where the camera is. I'm hoping that Tandy and her team will be able to come and assist as soon as they can. But let's proceed, colleagues. In my introduction, colleagues, I wish to emphasize the approach that I have taken to prepare this presentation. My approach is generic because I wanted to look at the unifying factor that cuts across the sector, which is the right of access to information. You will notice that I've touched based on school libraries because they are very close to my heart. I see them as the foundation of the university library competencies and expertise. So I will touch base on school libraries. I will touch base on university libraries. But I decided to be generic in my approach so that I include the sector in its entirety. I want us to share our understanding on how, as this sector, we can address the social ills that are facing our country. And to look at this goal, that is the right of access to information, which is so fundamental and ideal, and is so integral in addressing the social ills that are facing the country. Only if it is properly understood, it is properly analyzed, and it is properly implemented. Whilst we are checking the video, I just want to say something about the Liasa birthday. Liasa was born in 1997 in July. It coincides with the birth of a leader and a former revolutionary, a former president of South Africa, Utata Nelson Mandela. Just a second. Colleagues, let's continue. Sorry for that glitch. What I want to emphasize here is that if we look at the foundation of librarianship and we look at the ideals of Utata Mandela, we say the foundation of modern librarianship rests on essential set of core values that define, inform, and guide our professional practice. These values reflect the past, the ongoing development, which is the present, and have a potential of predicting the future. And these have been advanced and expanded and refined by numerous policy statements and policy frameworks. Utata Nelson Mandela once said, sorry. Utata Nelson Mandela once said, when he was talking about education, the value of education, he said, Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. Now, let us answer the big question, the future of librarianship. What do librarians and libraries do to alleviate the social ills of the society? Because if we're going to look at the past and look at the present, then we can predict the future. And it depends on how we handle the present and how we tackle the current ills of society as librarians with our overarching goal or our mandate of the right of access to information by all citizens. How we handle the problems of the day will determine whether we have a future or we do not have a future. I do not have an answer for that question, but I thought I would look at the core values of librarianship as embraced by the American Library Association. There are other associations around the world that embrace the same core values, including our own organization or association, LIASA. These are access. We pride ourselves with provision of access to our resources, to our spaces, to everything, including human resources. We pride ourselves that we embrace lifelong learning and education. We embrace intellectual freedom, the public good, the social responsibility, preservation of knowledge, confidentiality of information, without violating the open access to information, democracy, diversity, professionalism, but most importantly, service and sustainability. These are the generic values of librarianship that cut across nations, that cut across the world. I thought I would extract this paragraph from the website of LIASA. After 25 years of existence, the LIASA ideals are so relevant. Librarianship is a noble profession. That is what LIASA purports. It is a noble profession that is basic to the development of citizens and thus a nation. It speaks to the intrinsic requirement of building an informed and knowledgeable nation through the equitable access to information. There's that golden right again, access to information. The growth and sustainability of the new democracy in South Africa is reliant on citizens who are knowledgeable and can make well-informed decisions about all aspects of their lives, Librarians have the inherent responsibility of knowing their communities' information needs. I want us to note these, colleagues, because this is so fundamental in the provision of library and information services. To what extent do we know the information needs of the communities that we claim to be servicing? Be it a public library, be it a school library, be it special library, but I think the underpinning call is that we have a responsibility to know the community's information needs if we are going to serve and contribute to alleviate the social ills of society. Now, how do we take this forward? What are the enabling legislative frameworks? How are we enabled to implement this golden goal as librarians? We've got all those legislative frameworks, colleagues, that enable us The question is whether these frameworks are turned into policies, are translated into policies, whether those policies are translated to action plans, and whether those action plans are implemented. But we've got everything in place to sustain our profession. We just need to familiarize ourselves with all these legislative frameworks. They would apply across the sector, some of them, but I'm quite proud to point out on, okay, the Library and Information Services Transformation Charter, because at the time this charter was put together, that is 2014, there was no other charter in the country. I remember I was still working for Walter Sisulu, and the Office of the Institutional Development at Walter Sisulu was looking for the charters across the country, and he couldn't find any transformation charter until he came to the library and got the Library and Information Services Transformation Charter. There are a few colleagues that you might know who were members of the team. They include Professor Ngondo, I think, Sekhameti, who is now at the UNISA Library. I think Peter Law, if I'm not mistaken, and few other legends that you can recall in the profession. They put together the Transformation Charter. But I think the great question is, with all these good frameworks, with all the good strategies, have we managed as the profession and the professionals to put them into action? I will leave the legislative frameworks and focus on the school library system. I've been checking all over the internet. I couldn't find a policy that talks to the school library management or governance until I got one policy. I was looking for a national policy, but until I got one policy that was developed and published in 2003, but this was a provincial policy in the KZN province. The policy guides the establishment and development of school libraries in the KZN province. It also supports educators and specialist library staff in the development and management of school libraries. It fascinated me to find this framework and this policy because further down, I discovered that according to Christine Stilwell, who is writing on mapping the FEET Library and Information Services and the National Transformation Agenda in South Africa, Part 1 and 2. She claims that the country is characterized by poor school library infrastructure. She refers to Gwati 2001, who reports a statement that the lack of access to reading resources was the chief cause of poor reading skills, and that the majority of South African learners had very, very poor reading skills, and I unquote. She refers to poorly integrated ICT programs at schools. Another survey that was conducted in 2006 mirrored the findings of the 1999 survey, which found that fewer than 30% of South African schools, fewer had the central or classroom libraries that are needed to support the reading activities at schools. 5,156 schools that were surveyed by this company, and 4,773 schools that were surveyed by the Human Sciences Research Council found that more schools had access to some type of library provisioning, at least by 2004, compared to 1999. And I was asking myself that already maybe KZN has got a different experience, but this is the picture that is painted in the South African school library system. We hope that because there's a policy in the KZN, then things will be different. However, we need some action research just to make sure that this research can be replicated, that this is still the status quo. I think there is a gap between the time of the formulation of those policies and the time when this research was conducted. And there's a gap between then and now. And I'm calling upon everybody in the library fraternity to engage with research and find out what is happening, investigate what's the status quo of the libraries, not necessarily the school libraries, but the library system at large. Going on with the challenges, the South African School Library Survey in 1999 found that in all provinces except Gauteng, there were fewer than 20% of staff responsible for school library who were appropriately qualified at that time. Things might have changed, and we need to investigate all these issues. We cannot make an assumption. Over the last 10 years, that was before this period, teacher librarians have been retrenched or assigned to other duties. This is according to this author. Again, the white paper on e-education in 2004 revealed that many local schools lacked the basic ICT infrastructure. All high schools had at least one computer laboratory, but most did not use computers to generate knowledge or to integrate ICT across curriculum. Computers in schools are mainly used for administrative purposes. This is according to the study by Wilson Stradon. In 2008, which is 5 years after 2003, the 2003 policy was established at KZN, there was still no national policy on school libraries. But a positive sign was the Minister Pando's participation in 2007 in a Rally to Read campaign to the Northwest Province to a selection of rural schools. This is according to the Department of Education document or report in 2007. We continue with the threats and the challenges that are facing the sector. Ochola, Professor Ochola, I think we all know him, who states that the majority of school children in deep rural areas have no access to libraries of any kind, despite the government's attempts to provide service through multi-purpose community centers. In Zimande and Stilwell again, they have explored some of the impediments to such projects, such as lack of adequate community awareness, raising and participation at the planning stage. Now, I'm saying, as libraries, as custodians of this resource, which is information, if there is a inadequate community awareness of some of these projects or information that could assist in addressing the social ills, then we also need to do a self-introspection as to whether we are living to the ideals of this golden goal that all citizens of South Africa must have a right and access to information. Continuing with the challenges, now I want to focus on university libraries. We are overwhelmed by the challenges in scholarly integrity. The scholarly integrity is under attack. I got this from the Inan van der Wald's paper during our orientation sessions for first-year students in 2022. We are faced with false misinformation. We are faced with predatory journals, predatory conferences, predatory everything. You can be invited to a conference somewhere in the United States that does not exist. It's just predatory everything. Hijacked journals, hijacked editorial offices, citation pollution. These are the challenges that I think the university library should be addressing in the future. Creation and generation of knowledge. We all know that there is this notion of the global north versus the global south when it comes to creation and generation of knowledge. The global south is perceived as consumers of information that is created and generated from the global north. And we know that these are the systematic problems that were created could have been created by the digital divide. There are many factors, but at the moment, there's a challenge where even the information or knowledge that has been generated by the global south is only accessible from the global north. We only get the databases, everything from the global north. We don't generate our own timber and use it. We must generate it, sell it to the global north. Actually, we don't even sell it. We just give it away through copyright and author copyright agendas, and the global north sells it back to us behind a paywall. Now, what needs to be done? Africanization of collections. There's nothing we can really do with our historical collections because they are already there. And the services that we're rendering or the collections that we are using to render our services, they dictate our approach to collection development. We are driven by the historical collections in terms of what we can do, but why can't we change? Why can't we turn the page? Why can't we focus on Africanization of our collections? There are many ways. I'm not gonna list all of them, but I will leave it up to the professionals and the bastions of the profession, which are librarians, to think how we can decolonize or Africanize our library collections. Lack of action research. We sort of get very comfortable as librarians in our comfort zone, and we forget to do the most basic things, that is to conduct action research around the services that we are providing, around the key performance areas, and to see whether we are relevant or are we addressing the challenges of the country at large. I like to mention the principle of a learning organization, because if you do not subscribe, or we do not subscribe, or we do not embrace the principle of a learning organization, then we cannot be the agents of change that we would like to see. A learning organization is the one that begins to say, you continue, it's lifelong learning. And this is embraced in our strategies, in our policies. We talk of lifelong learning, but I'm still wondering if we are lifelong learners as librarians, and that principle of learning organization is a challenge for us if we are going to be agents of change. Opportunities. I've already alluded to the legislative frameworks which enable us to do what we have to do and to implement what we need to implement. However, the sustainable goals, this is now a joint, agenda for the nations, not just the South African or the African nation. All nations are coming together to address the sustainable goals, the 2020 2030 Sustainable Goals. And by the mere look at that picture, you see that the world is trying to eliminate poverty by 2030. The world is trying to erase hunger by 2030. And all the good and well said goals that are embedded on the Sustainable Development Goals. And you will always ask, where do the librarians come in? Of course, provision of quality education will come in. But I would like to say today, all these goals, because we are saying knowledge is freedom, access to information will liberate the country. What are we doing in terms of putting forward information that is relevant to elimination of poverty? Are we advocates? Do we have portals where people can tap in and say, if I want to read about how South Africa is doing in terms of erasing hunger, this is where I go. So my question is, where are the information professionals? Because we always, argue that the knowledge society, the information society is driven by knowledge. The knowledge economy relies on knowledge in order to flourish and succeed. But where are the knowledge managers? Where is the information that maybe just the Eastern Cape province can tap into to say, we want to see what has been done in terms of enforcing gender equality. We want to see. So we cut across these ideals, colleagues, and the minute we understand our role in helping the country to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, the better. I thought I would just quickly, if given time, I'm quite aware of the time constraints, my chairperson, Tandy, but I was just hoping that, I hope this will work. I've pulled this, this link from the website where of the Sustainable Development Goals. In your spare time, you can go to this website, but I just thought I would point to, for instance, goal number 1, no poverty by 2030. And if you hover on top of that, you will see everything, all the targets, all the events, all the actions, all the publications that are already there. And then how do we bring this information to the nation? It's already there. It's the matter of us being active in saying, this is our contribution towards nation building. You look at zero hunger by 2030. All this just needs information from our side. Of course, with goal 4, we do participate there because we are part, some of us are part of quality education, of provision of quality education. So I thought I would just implore colleagues to say, everything is there for us to sustain the future of librarianship, but it is in our hands. As I was preparing for this presentation, I came across this National Review report on SDGs. It's quite update. It's in 2019, where they are reporting, South Africa is reporting on the progress made on the SDGs. And I decided to pick up on SDG 4 on quality education. They agree that about 1/3 of schools have computers for pedagogical purposes, but at just under 19%, the proportion of schools with access to internet for the same purposes is considerably lower and markedly lower than in many other countries with which South Africa needs to compete and collaborate on the world stage. South Africa is aware of and concerned about the dropout rates from the educational system. This is especially marked when the progression rate from grade 1 to grade 12 is calculated, and not simply the dropout rate within the upper levels of the secondary school system. This is the report, colleagues. It's there on the net, freely available, but it's a call for us to say, within this SDG, what are we doing in terms of open scholarship? What are we doing in terms of digital humanities? What are we doing in terms of digital literacy and information literacy to help the nation to succeed this quality of education by 2030? I've got a number of recommendations, but one recommendation is the one that begins to say it can no longer be business as usual. It's business as usual versus business unusual. We have to move away from our comfort zones. I have deliberately focused on the things that are not, I have not focused on the given activities. I know we're doing a lot already, but I've noticed that whenever we're doing presentations in these forums, we look at the given. We talk about things we do, we showcase the things we do, but we don't talk of those other things that we're not doing. So if you don't see them in this presentation, you should know that I've left them out deliberately so that we can focus and gear our action towards nation building and focus on those things that we are not doing on a daily basis. We need to create spaces and platforms for debate about the challenges that are facing the sector. I propose that the next Librarians Day in 2023 should involve speakers across the sector, not just the academic library, but across public libraries, school libraries, special libraries, national libraries. And these should come and present what is happening there and what have they done between now and next year, or what plans are in place to address the social ills in our society. I implore colleagues to conduct action research. Academics in the profession should be the lead investigators. We all know that we are not good in research, but we have academics here. We've got professors who are in the library education, the teaching side of the profession. We should come together and collaborate and investigate with the lead investigators in library services research. Generation of local and indigenous knowledge. This I cannot overemphasize. This is why we will always be marginalized by the global north, because we do not focus on local and indigenous knowledge, and we do not make it accessible so that we can pride ourselves and brag of our own knowledge and generate and create our own knowledge. Partnerships within the sector. I think we like to work in silos. We like to compete, especially in the academic library sector. I don't want to talk on behalf of other sectors, but I mean of other types of libraries. But I know that in the academic library, sorry, we just like to compete, and maybe most of the time hide behind, you know, the institution, because our institutions are recognized, and sometimes we're quite comfortable in sitting back and benefit from the institution's reputation, and think that we are really addressing issues. Collaborative research. We need joint proposals for funding. We know that it's not easy to get funding, but if those lead researchers who are our academics in the profession can lead us, then we can definitely put up winning funding proposals. We need to establish community partnerships. I think the spaces and the types of engagements that we are looking forward to, the LIASA conference that is coming, these are the types of spaces where we need to get together and address the social ills instead of looking for, I don't know, a pat on the back for what we are doing. That is a given. Later, if we are to sustain the future of librarianship, let us address the present day challenges that are facing our society. This is a struggle for survival. This is the struggle for relevance. It's a call to action. I was listening to the proceedings of the webinar, and that is the national webinar on the Librarians Day celebrations. I think this was on the 11th, if I'm not mistaken, of July. And there was a DDG of Arts and Culture who spoke on conditional grants and that support public and community libraries. And to what extent are we tapping into these funding opportunities that are made available to us? So if I have to answer the question, is the future of librarianship questionable? I would say yes and no. Yes, it can be questionable. No, it is not questionable. If we are to focus on continuing staff development, on reskilling, we need data curators, we need digital preservators, we need data scientists, we need knowledge mappers, we need experts in the evolving vocabulary, in taxonomies, in metadata, filtering, meta tags, you name it. We need knowledge and information disseminators. Our communities are battling, our communities are suffering, but we are saying we've got the key to the success, which is knowledge and information. Are we disseminating this knowledge? Is this knowledge relevant? We all need to do this introspection, both the inward and the outward looking introspection. If I were to talk to leadership, I would say we need a transformative and visionaries in the leadership. If I were to talk to the librarians and the professionals in the industry and any other worker for that matter who is working in the library profession or in the library space, I would say we need people with passion, because great visions perish where there is no passion. The nation needs us. Come, let us build South Africa together. Thank you.
Thank you, Siswethu. What a presentation. Thank you so much, Siswethu, for the well-planned, informative presentation. You really took us back and reminded us who we really are, and that there's still a long way. There are still huge gaps in between. But we are happy that we are here as librarians and we are able to assist. As you are saying, if the future is, are we threatened, is the future bright of librarians? I would say yes. We just need to invest in the skills development, and yeah. So with those words, thank you so much for honoring this invite and embrace us with your experiences and reminding us of who we really are, and the routes that we need to take, the partnerships that we need to consider, and collaborations, and not forgetting the SDGs as well, and where we really fit. Thank you so much for those words. Thank you, colleagues. I'm now going to introduce our third and last speaker of the day. And our speaker is Mrs. Pamela Mavume, Pamela Elizabeth Mavume. Mrs. Pam is a retired professional librarian. She retired recently at University of Sisulu after 32 years of service. She's got quite a journey, colleagues. She started as a junior librarian and then the former Transkei librarian. And then she moved in various management positions. And she was also one of the few members who joined Liasa very early. She's number 33 on Liasa. And she's been passionate about librarianship. She's been a teacher in libraries. She's been everything, colleagues. I don't want to give you more than this. I want to allow her to take us through her experiences and her journey as a librarian and as a Liasa member. Sis Pam, over to you. Sis Pam, are you there?
Andy?
Hi, Kafiso. I'm still
Yes.
checking on Usis Pam because she told me that she had some glitches and it looks like now she's still going to reconnect. She seemed to be connected, but yeah, I'm just, give me a few minutes, colleagues.
She
Hello?
is connected. Just make sure to check her sound because when I see on my side, there is no sound connected. The video is connected, but she just needs to connect to her sound.
Okay, let me just check it on the side. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi,
thanks.
Candy.
Hi,
Colleagues,
Steve.
yes, I just tried to call Mrs. Pam. She said she's just experiencing problems on her laptop. Is trying to reconnect because it's just get cut off. So now she's trying to reconnect again.
Right. Thank you, Stima. Colleagues, while we are waiting for this Pam, are there any comments or questions? I don't know, recommendations or that colleagues want to raise while we are here? This platform is for all of us. Is there anything you would want to share with us, maybe?
Is everybody still there? Or have I lost you guys?
We are here.
Oh, sorry, okay.
We are here, Jali.
Oh, thank you. Thandi,
Yes,
Yes.
Sweet.
yes, Chair. I'm thinking that I've posed a challenge there that the executive of LIASA
Yeah.
Eastern Cape branch should organize a 2-day colloquium. Do you have funding for this colloquium? And where can we host the colloquium? Is it something feasible? Is it something doable? And are colleagues happy to talk about what is happening in their libraries? That is the public library, the school library, and all that. I'm just thinking out loud here because I don't see comments. I don't see way forward. Maybe I'm too forward myself, sorry.
Thanks, Sweet. It's Dima here.
No, yes.
Yes, I think we will need to, I think it's something that we need to plan and see if we'll be able to and then to get some funding, because normally if we don't have funds from our branch currently, we'll see how possible, because we do have relationship with the Department of Sports and Culture in the province. So if we have anything, we can also ask them to fund us, And I think this can be something that we need to plan and discuss and see how far can we go. Otherwise, it's really something that is needed so that we can engage each other and understand each other. It's very important.
Thank you, Stira. That's a promise I will hold on to.
Colleagues, Sispem is trying to rejoin. Can you please give us a few minutes? She's at home, so yeah, she's alone.
I've posted something, Tandy, on the chat, a suggestion. Whilst we're waiting for Pam.
Hi, Tandy. I can see Elizabeth.
Good morning, colleagues. Pardon for this happened.
Okay,
I don't know when
Gabriel.
I'm in now. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay, is it my turn to present now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry for that.
I experienced again. I have to not remember the computers. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you for inviting me to this prestigious Librarians Day, which I thought I will never miss. Good morning to Chair, Eastern Cape Liasa Chairperson, Program Director, Liasa National Office, Rhodes University Director, and good morning to all colleagues. I was invited to this event, and I said I wouldn't say, I said I wouldn't say no, because I'm asked to share my thoughts and experiences, and what can future librarians do in order to be who they are in the profession. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare any PowerPoint presentation because I thought that I should just speak from the heart, though I have prepared jotted down some few points, of which I'm not going to take a long time in my talk because time is running out. I just want to start from where this passion for librarianship and where this passion for cataloging and where this passion for being active in the association came from. This passion came from the start on my teacher training years, because I went to the teacher training, that is Mount Arthur Training School, to do my primary teacher's course. And then to cut the story short, we were taught a book education there. That is how to handle books in the library. What is a library? And then we were shown where the library is in the school. Fortunately, there was one library, small library, with books, some of them old, some of them new. You know, so I was just inspired by the ladies who were behind the counter there. That is since it was a training school and a high school, that is the high school students that were doing Form 5, that is the grade 12 for now, who were assisting us now in borrowing books and how to borrow books from the library, how to take care of them. So I was just interested in that. And then I wanted to find out how does one become one of the library workers. I was told that no, you must just complete your Form 4 and Form 5, that is grade 11 and 12, and then you go to the university and you study. I said, okay, let me do that. And I passed my primary teacher's course and I went back to that school, did my Form 4 and Form 5, that is my matric, and off I went to University of Zululand in 1981. Fortunately for me, in the Department of Library Information Science, we had very energetic, very nice, and very, lecturers that would teach you, to their satisfaction, and you would also be satisfied. That is where this started. That is the love from the lecturers who taught us librarianship. More especially the lady, Mrs. Yvonne Johnston, who was teaching us the theory and practical of AACR2 and DUI. So after completing my junior degree, I came to the University of Transkei as one of the catalogers, employed as one of the catalogers for the University of Transkei. Then we're using the manual form of cataloging. That is the full stop dash, AACR2, 18th edition, that was 18th edition. I loved doing this, because of the love from Mrs. Johnston that was instilled in me. And I said, okay, I would like to do the correct thing. Unfortunately for the section, we had very energetic colleagues. That is the head of the cataloging section, which was formerly Sdgs, and the late Mr. Ntapo. So those two people and the others anyway, they taught us on how to do proper cataloging, how to access AACR2 and DUI. So since I had the love from school for that, I said, okay, let me do as I was taught at school. And then it came when now we have to merge, that is University of Transkei, and the two technicons, that is the Eastern Cape Technicon in Butterworth and the Border Technicon in Buffalo City. So we're using different library systems. So at that time, we were using Eureka with the erudite software. And that we in that system we're using that is the SA mark. So there was a conference that was in Johannesburg at some time, whereby it was discovered that our South African records are not usable abroad. That is those records that are appearing in the overseas databases. So they are not up to standard. You find that some records, they have the main entry when it's supposed to be a corporate board or a conference, and then the main entry is the editor, or the main entry is the author. So we had different methods that the librarians used to catalog. So now it was decided that no, let us follow that is the Library of Congress system, whereby now we were introduced to the millennium system that was installed in the Eastern Cape, and then you need a University of Transkei, Border Technicon, and East London. And then we had to be called WSU, Walter Sisulu Libraries, okay. And then we changed to Millennium training. That Millennium, so we had to learn. So what was inspiring me in this is that I was very curious because I wanted to do the correct thing. I wanted to have the correct access points that must be accessible to the users. That is, the records or the items should be usable in the library. So no book or no item should be out of place. So in my interest now, I learned to embrace change all the time. That is, one has to be positive to whatever you are doing. You have to be positive with what you are doing. You must learn what you are doing, you must read. There are so many, for instance, now the technology has supplied us with so much information. For instance, the websites and how to access databases, how to access the databases on where to find information on something. So the trainings that we got from the SEALs, I can also say thank you to SEALs, because each time there was a new change, all the SEALs consortium in Port Elizabeth will bring us together, all the institutions bring us together to do the training. So when we go back now to our various universities, so we have to do likewise. And then every time there is a mistake, or every time there is something that is not going well, we must correct. So I was always on my toes, and in fact with my colleagues anyway, always our toes, so that we must do the correct thing. Okay. And then that was the continuous professional development, whereby you must learn every day. Whatever you are trained on, you must learn. And then came Liasa. If I can show you, I'm sorry, you need to show my face. If I can show you my golf shirt that was sent by the Liasa office. I'm wearing it right now for the 25 years as a Liasa member. Liasa assisted me or helped me to connect with the colleagues, to connect with the colleagues from all institutions of South Africa, to connect to connect through ICPIS. So the trainings that we're getting from ICPIS, they really motivated me, because there were new things that were introduced every day. I remember when Mahmoud Danster was our director at some stage, and then there was this new GUI, that is the web GUI, that was introduced, that the library should purchase the new web GUI. And in one of the institutional meetings, and then I voiced out that, hey, Mahmoud Danster, there's this new web GUI that is coming. Can you please, the institution, purchase us or subscribe? Let us subscribe to the web. And Ms. Dancer will say, please, just purchase or buy. And that thing Mrs. Mavume is talking about, you say that thing, because everything that was new, I always voiced out in our meetings. of which now it was done. So that's where now I saw that every information is changing on a daily basis. New subjects are cropping up, and also the updating of these bibliographic tools. And also the cataloging. For instance, we went to RDA and all the languages that were used in RDA. So as a librarian, in fact, you should just do everything that you have to do, and then at the same time, just not for the sake of doing it, just for you or to show other people that are an expert in doing this. What you must do is do whatever you do, but at the end, you must know that we are doing this for the library user. That is, the library user must find information that is the current and relevant information in the online catalog. Okay, there will be mistakes, but at the same time, one has to be accountable, because every time that you catalog or you do an item, you must have your initials at the end of the record. So that is not to put you in the spotlight that you are doing maybe the incorrect things or whatever. That is the way of showing. That is the quality controllers that you were doing this record, even if maybe you are not, you didn't have your initials then, and then your campus now saying, okay, WS Resource Library, what is happening here? And then I wouldn't say, no, it was not me, it was not me. So, which as a section now, I try to motivate myself that let's please all be accountable for what we are doing, so that now we are not left in the left, and then our records are not up to date. So one of my strong points in this profession was the motivation, motivating my colleagues on what's new, what we should do, motivating, training, and mentoring. So as I love talking, and I love teaching, and I love sharing. So that's when now I saw it fit that I should I should always be in a way of how on how to say, on how to engage my colleagues now, or engage my cataloging staff on how to engage on how to do things correctly. Okay. As I said, from networking, that is the national IGBIS, the trainings and workshops and conferences is where we shared most of the information with our colleagues from the whole of South Africa. And then came the aspect of reading papers, okay, or getting to these conferences and people reading papers, and you find that, okay, there's one paper that was of interest to you, and then you said, hey, Stima has read a very nice paper, whatever, and then you don't do anything about that. What does Stima say in that paper? Because what he said or what he wrote in that paper, you must implement in your library. Just not, okay, the paper is okay, and then do nothing about it. Okay. One time there was a workshop that was going to be in UNISA, and they were called for papers on the use of controlled vocabularies in an academic library. I said, man, are the UNISA people or UJ or University of Witwatersrand the only people who can read papers in workshop and conference? I said, let me try. And I went to one of the lecturers, that is Dr. Mavis Stiti, and I showed her this call for papers, and I said, maybe I would like to share, I would like to read something on this aspect. And then maybe said, no, it's no problem, because we are using the controlled vocabulary, that is the CS list of subject headings then. And then I prepared this paper, and then I was the only one, let me say black, was the only person who, I was the only one who read the paper out of the white people who were reading papers in that workshop. And then people said, Pam, I'm not afraid to present papers with these people. I said, no, well, why should I be afraid? Because I'm also using the control vocabulary. Why is it as if now we are not doing anything about this? And let me share, because maybe said, Pam, what must do? Just share what is done in your institution. don't go to the technique. Right now, you can talk the technicality of it, but don't go deep to the technicality, but just share with them. How do you do that is the control vocabulary, and then as an institution. So fortunately for me, and I presented that paper, and the representative, the EXCO, that is the executive committee of ICPIS, were very happy with my paper, and then they advised me to again read this paper in the ICPIS, that is in the ICPIS conference that would be held in November in Pretoria, and I did exactly that. So those were the things that were motivating me, were aspiring me to learn, to do everything that I could, so that I am skilled enough, I have knowledge, I'm competent in doing my work. Okay. And then with the national conferences, okay, they read some papers in national conference, and at the same time, through this networking, I also received a call for papers from the CILIP, that is the Chartered Institute for Library and Information Professionals. In the conference, they will have a conference in Manchester University in July 2013. I said, okay, let me try this one, and I prepared an abstract, and that abstract was accepted, and I showed to my manager, and my manager said, no, why can't you go there and then just share with them, because what we are doing. And then the paper was the new roles and skills of catalogers in the 21st century, with special reference to Walter Sisulu Library, Eastern Cape, South Africa. So that paper was well received by the attendees, and then they said, thank you for bringing us what you are doing in South Africa. And I learned from the others now how to go about with the challenges that we face in the cataloging section. And then the other one that inspired me was the IFLA satellite meeting, whereby I presented just a talk on taking charge of library information services career in Cape Town in 2015, when there was IFLA conference in Cape Town. So that satellite meeting was specified for the continuous professional development and workplace learning, whereby what are we doing in our workplace? What are we doing so that we are motivated in our career? How should we learn and to be progressive in our career? Okay. Now let me come to the point whereby I would say something on the future librarianship in the digital age, for instance. So we as librarians, we need to be curious and willing to learn. We must learn everything that comes to your path. Learn to do it, and learn with passion. Must always be ready for the change. For instance, the COVID era brought so much change to us, because we never thought that we would work from home. How are we going to do cataloging from home? What are we going to do with the laptops that were provided? And fortunately now, all the meetings, the meetings and the workshops were conducted virtually. So that's what we learned. Okay, being outside the library doesn't mean you're going to fold your arms and sit at home and eat ngosho every day. You must do something, so that at least when you go back to office now, you are the work, it was not stagnant. At least something was going on whilst we're at home. You must always have a positive attitude to allow for new developments in the profession. Must always be willing to face the challenges. Must always be ready and willing to serve. Whatever you are doing in the library, you must be ready to serve. I won't say that since I'm in the cataloging section, and then there's something, for instance, like the information literacy or whatever. Can you please come and assist us, since we are doing this? I mean, you are constructing the online catalog. Can't you come and help and assist us, and then just teach the students on how to locate, on how to find the resources in the library? That is no problem. Then I also did that with passion, because I love doing what I'm doing, so that the users benefit. You must always be ready to serve in whatever area of library you are involved in. So for the theme, for instance, of the Liasa, that is the Liasa Library Week, there are those three aspects: these three aspects, repurposing, reimagining, and rediscover. I like the rediscover one because now we have rediscovered that everything that the library does change. Everything in the library changes. So I discovered that whatever that we did not do correctly, let's do it correctly, so that everything, all our records now are on. All our records are correct, and all our records and are up to standard in the online catalog. So for that, what I saw is that with that, since now we are no more using OPEC, we are using the Salmon platform. I was so glad that our records finally, that our sales database records were loaded now to the WorldCat. So which means now we have done the correct thing. So that's why I say everything that you do, you must do it with the goal that whatever you are doing, you must put it in the next level so that it is not stagnant. Further on, I would say the last point, that the future librarians must be self-disciplined, must be disciplined whatever you're doing. Don't do something that for the sake, okay, you say 8 to 4, and then I'm going home. So be disciplined in what you are doing so that everything is in order, must be accountable. Everything that you do must be accountable for, so that the passion will have the passion of doing whatever you want to do. You do. Must always be willing to read, conduct research, read papers, even if you don't read a paper in a conference, just with your colleagues. Hey, colleagues, this is something I would like to share. Can you please lend me and just present something that at least will be of interest to your colleagues that you are doing in the library, so that at least so now they know that what you are doing in the cataloging section, and you're just not full stop dash. And then what can you tell them about cataloging? That is the things that are changing in the cataloging section. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sis Pam. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. We have learned something, and I believe now when we go back to our libraries, we'll just do an introspection and just see where we are. And thank you for encouraging the young librarians as well, that you must stand up and do it for yourself. You need to be passionate, at what you are doing. You need to be perfect in a way, so that the users that you are serve, get quality information. Thank you for all the wise words that we have shared today, and thank you for honoring this invite. Thank you so much. So now, colleagues, we are almost at the end of our program. I'm going to hand over to Ustima Nengi, Chair-elect, to say the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Program Director, my chair. Good day, colleagues. Thank you very much. I will start with our first speaker, Ms. Wombagazi Ngandeka. Thank you, Ms. Wombagazi, for availing yourself to be part of this celebration of the librarians in their day, which is the Librarians' Day, where we are also celebrating the 25 years anniversary of Liasa. So thank you very much for sharing with us, especially your experience from the library user perspective, the way you were received in the libraries. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the way you share with us. Thank you for being part of us. We are going to keep on tracking you as we see that you are writing your Xhosa culture books. I think we are going to have a relationship so that we can track all your publications, because I believe all libraries should have those local authors in their libraries, so that they must know we must not only have those international publishers without having our local authors. Thank you very much. Then let me move to Siswethu Madansta. Thank you very much, Siswethu, for reminding us what is expected from us, the role that we need to play as future librarians. We are really reminding us what we need to do. Those set of core values that you've highlighted are going to assist, I believe, all of us. We are going to go back to basic and apply those principles so that we play the role that is needed from us. We really appreciate your presentation. It was very thought-provoking, very informative. And again, on your recommendations, we've taken note of your recommendations. I've noticed that it looked like it's focusing more on academic libraries based on our majority of speakers who are having experience from the academic libraries. Going forward, we are going to try to have that colloquium that you suggested, and so that we can get all the library sectors from school, public, special, so that we can discuss what they are faced with in their sector, so that we can understand and see how can we collaborate and assist each other. Thank you very much, Madam. You really opened, reminded us to be relevant, and let us not just relax, take as if it's everything is fine, whereas we need to ensure that we play the role that is expected from us, keep ourselves relevant. As Pam, thank you very much. You are really a true professional librarian. I was lucky because I joined WSU. I was working very close with you. You are really a mentor. You've taken us through. Now we can be able to stand on our own through your passion with the profession. Thank you very much. Because even myself, when I arrived, you were the one who were motivating me to be a member of LIASA. And even when it comes to being active in LIASA, you are the one who is so motivating, assisting. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. I know that you are living LIASA. So we are still going to assist us going forward. When we need your hands, please avail yourself. We really appreciate. Thank you very much to colleagues who managed to join this very important event, our Librarians Day in this Eastern Cape branch. Because without you, this event was not going to be a success. Thank you very much. Keep on supporting our branch, because as a BSc, we cannot be able to do everything on our own. We need you. We are serving because of you. So thank you very much for availing yourself. Keep on supporting our activities, your activities. We really appreciate. With those words, thank you very much, colleagues. I wish you all the best. Have a very fruitful day and a very good week. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Stima, for the closing notes. And yes, we've noted everything. And again, thank you to the speakers, and also thank you to the members who honored also this event and came in numbers to support the branch. Really appreciate. I'm going to share Umbakazi's contact details on the chat. And then after that, I think that will be the end of our event. Thank you so much, colleagues, for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Can maybe, so can I just?
Hello.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you.